So I find this topic pretty funny for one main reason. The fact that the MCU has strategically managed to never show us the tower for almost 7 years. The Avengers Tower, the last time we seen it was actually during 2017 Spider-Man Homecoming, which again, it's funny because ever since then, they have just danced around it perfectly each project. And they have not yet revealed to us who has bought it yet. Likely, most likely because like they were trying to figure out who would purchase it down the line, and then after they figure that out, it's just a matter of when they get to it, they get to it. And fans have been curious ever since then, and recently a report has been circulating that news on this will change soon. So last we know about this tower, Tony Stark sold it to move the Avengers camp to another location and everything that was in the tower as well. And we have seen it in some frames in some projects since Homecoming, but we also saw a glimpse of it in Far From Home, but again, we haven't fully seen it since 2017. But every time they show us New York and they have a project set in New York, they again they just strategically just dance around the tower and that area of the MCU. And like I've said before on this channel, soon is quite literally the bane of our existence, because it can mean a month from now, 6 years from now, or 2 years from now. It's just very broad. And this is pretty much like a we have to see it revealed soon, right, type of situation, because we're getting a lot of New York based projects in the next few years, so it would just make the most sense. Let's be real, for how much longer can they continue to just ignore this biggest landmark in New York, and just continually dance around it? So with that, we're gonna go over my theory of who I think is buying Avengers Tower, and we will go over some other honorable mentions and likely scenarios as well. So let's get into that. I'm gonna go over the least likely option, and then as we go, we're gonna get into the more likely options, and the last one will be the one that I think is the most likely. So first, let's talk about Norman Osborn. Now you're probably thinking, how could it be Norman Osborn? He doesn't exist in the MCU. Incorrect. First of all, we actually don't know, as of right now at least, whether or not he exists in the MCU. We just haven't had confirmation, again, whether or not he exists. But as well, I feel like this is the least likely option, just because even if they do introduce Norman Osborn, he's usually rich enough to create his own tower from scratch, ground up. But also as well, who knows if they will introduce a Norman Osborn in the MCU down the line. But I think it could be interesting, and he doesn't even have to turn into the Green Goblin at first. I think it could work he buys Avengers Tower to create Oscorp, maybe Peter finds out about this, investigates, sees he's working on technology, and comes to find out he's turning into the Iron Patriot or something like that, because he's inspired by Tony Stark and is actually a good guy. Then maybe down the line something tragic can happen to him, he snaps, turns into the Goblin. That could be interesting. Maybe Harry could die or something, pass away due to a Spider-Man scenario or something like that, who knows. But ultimately he could buy it to launch Oscorp, since Stark Industries may not be as prevalent since Tony Stark died. Perfect opportunity to swoop in to be the new tech company for Norman. Now the next more likely option I would say is definitely the Fantastic Four, for them to turn it into the Baxter Building. This is definitely a possible choice. I personally don't know much about the Fantastic Four. I just know the Baxter Building is what their quote-unquote lair or headquarters is called. So that's definitely a possibility, and would be pretty cool to see down the line whenever the Fantastic Four movie does end up coming out. Now the most likely option I see buying Avengers Tower is actually Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. And this is for multiple reasons. I think Kingpin or Wilson Fisk is the most likely to buy it because obviously, it's former Avengers Tower, so the security system and structure and all that has to be pretty good. He may have to upgrade a little bit, but he probably won't have to do too much crazy work to it. On top of that, he will be running for mayor of New York City, and Wilson Fisk is pretty wealthy already. I feel the Avengers Tower will give him a sense of power on top of already being mayor of New York City whenever that does end up happening and he does end up getting elected. And as well, this tower is big enough for him to have a space for his mayor stuff, for him to do mayor things, and as well have his criminal empire space and do his criminal kingpin things that he does. I think maybe, and this is just a theory, I think we will see Kingpin buy Avengers Tower in Spider-Man 4. So if it happens, quote me. If it doesn't happen, forget I ever said that. So with that, what do you think of my theory on Avengers Tower? And as well, who do you believe will buy Avengers Tower? Make sure you comment your opinion down below so I can discuss all of that with you in the comment section. Thank you for taking time out of your day to click on this video. If you are new to the channel, I cover Spider-Man related scoops, rumors, leaks, confirmations for the the games, movies, TV shows. Sometimes I do theories like this video and I try to upload as much as I can. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Let us know if you guys want more of this type of content. Don't forget to check out my latest video on the left if you haven't already. I hope you have had a good day and that you enjoyed the video. Until next time.